Hi, this is Susan Morgan, and I am hosting and a participant of Contact 2022 this May 19th through the 22nd in Sedona. And tickets are available at contact2022.com. And with me, I am thrilled to say, is my guest Maureen St Germain, whom probably a lot of you know of, or certainly have heard of. And she's going to just give us a little bit of background about herself and what she plans to present at our event. And first, let me start by saying your necklace is stunning.
This was a gift from one of my clients. She brought it back from India. Isn't that fabulous?
Oh my God, it's
The
just
first time I've worn it, so you're getting a big view. And it's a teacher stone. It's aquamarine.
oh, it's a gorgeous aquamarine. I love aquamarine. It's a
Me
high
too.
vibe stone, nice and clean energy, very
Yeah,
clean energy, pretty.
So
let's
I am going to be talking. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am known as the practical mystic, and what I do is give you tools so that all this cool stuff that you learn about other things that are happening in reality and how our world is changing. How do you implement it? How do you find ways to make use of it? So I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to be 5D. I'm going to teach you about mastering a connection with your higher self so that you can rely on it and not just trust it. And what's the difference between trusting and knowing? You trust that somebody will show up at this event and present, but you know the sun's going to come up tomorrow. So it's a very big difference between those two. And a lot of people have good intuition, but they don't always trust it. And if you don't follow it all the time, you need to know. And that's why you want this training. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the three earths and what
the three earths. Okay.
What I know about the fact that the coordinates of the earth are splitting out, and we're combining many timelines. And at the same time, we're also creating specialized timelines for very specific purposes. And I'll talk about that and what you can know about that. And
the good, bad, and indifferent of that.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it. And it's a very interesting thing because just now, as I was describing this, I got a big, strong hit. And that was either your energy or the energy from source, giving us another piece of information. So you'll find out a lot about all these wonderful things. And mostly you will come away with tools that will help you integrate all the other good stuff you're learning from all the other wonderful teachers.
I love that because the focus of this event, for me personally, why I created it, is to empower people. Mm-hmm. Not that the other events aren't good. And I've gone to plenty of events where you sit there and you listen to somebody's experience, and it's interesting and fascinating. And I love that. But I'm more interested right now, from my own standpoint, in creating things that actually empower people so they have tools when they leave that they can work with and develop in their life. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need. We need more people becoming more empowered. Wherever you are now, we can always add more to the empowerment scale.
That's right. That's right. And empowerment is so important right now because I think so many of the humanity is stuck in what you either call the me generation or narcissism. I have to have it my way. I'm not happy unless it's my way. And sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. We don't know we're putting that energy out. And when we have tools, we can step out of that.
Yep, exactly. So what do you think about the topic of contact, especially in relation to growing our awareness?
Well, I believe in contact. I believe that I've been in touch with ETs for all of my life. I remember as a child knowing that there were beings watching me, both benevolent and not. I have always felt connected to the energy of the ETs, but I'm also very connected to source energy and the ascended masters and the beings of 100% God light. And whenever I call in the ETs, I always qualify it. I want beings of 100% God light, because there are ETs that maybe have agendas that aren't necessarily in alignment with our ascension in the light. So I think contact is coming. I think it's coming through each and every one of us and our own experiences of working with these beings of light. We all play with sky energy and learning to observe and see things. Right now I see all kinds of ships in the clouds. Yes. And I believe that the clouds mimic what's really there. So even if it isn't a real ship that you're seeing, if you're seeing something that looks like a ship and it's in the clouds, it's probably a ship that's there. And it's a way to validate what you're feeling. Sometimes people feel it in their ears where they can feel the connection, but they don't know what it means. And sometimes you get downloads of information, you don't know what it means, but you'll have a knowing that results in you saying something or having an experience that later somebody says, well, how did you know that? Or, where did you get that information? And you just, I don't know. Did I say that?
Well, a lot of contact is subliminal from what I can see, that they, whether they're intentionally, and I think they are, erasing some of our memory of it, or just our conscious, I'm a medium. And one of the things I know, if I go into a deep trance state, the person I'm reading also goes into at least a light trance state. And I don't remember the reading 10 minutes after I'm done. I know the person I'm reading for is going to have like fuzzy memories. I don't explain this all to them. It's too much talking. So I usually recommend that they tape it and all that, because it's a deep state of awareness. It's the same thing with contact. When we're having contact with these beings, we're going into realms and deeper states of awareness that most of us are accustomed to going in. And so it would make sense that we don't remember it, whether they're intentionally wiping our memory or not.
Exactly. In fact, I don't think that they're wiping our memory as much as I think that we are so stuck in our belief systems that we tend to qualify everything we don't know. So, for example, if you can't find your wallet and you're pretty sure you left it in your car, but you remembered you left your car unlocked, you're going to say, oh, my wallet was stolen from my car. But what if you didn't do it that way? Maybe you remembered wrong. And so the most important thing to say for anyone, whether you get to this conference or not, is when something happens that you do not understand, or you have this strange experience that you can't quite qualify, instead of announcing to yourself, it must have been stolen, my credit card must have been hacked, I lost this, whatever, instead say, I wonder what's going on.
Yeah,
and what that does is allows the translation to occur, because I think a lot of information that we get from our ET family is there, but we don't have a framework to accept it. So we dismiss it. It's like that old story about Magellan's ships not being seen by the Native American people because they didn't have a framework for a big ship like that.
Except for the medicine people could see it. That was the only people that could see it.
Exactly. And they required a medicine man to get them to see it. But the medicine man had to, work their energy field so that they could help the others comprehend that. So when things happen that surprise us, we can be open to it, or we can, put it in a box like we usually do.
Yeah. And let's just talk about this for a second, because this is very, very much relevant to the topic. So let's go back to the scene. Magellan, his ships are coming in. They're all on the beach. No one sees anything. The medicine man saying, don't you see this? It's right here. They're like, what are you, crazy?
What happened is they took the canoes, they took their smaller boats in, and the native people said, where did you come from? And they pointed to the ship, and the native people could not see the ship. And they knew those boats were too small to have come across that water.
Right. So, I can use that in my own life when I've seen ships. I'm sure you could do the same thing, and seen things. Well, just because you all don't see it doesn't mean it's not there,
Yes, that's a really good point. And that happens to a lot of people. I have a client that recently had a very scary experience, and she saw, spiders and stuff on the ceiling, and then she felt it plop on the bed, and she jumped out of bed, screamed at her husband. He said, go back to sleep. There's nothing there. She didn't. She worked it. She fixed it, called in the angels and did what she needed to do. But it is, your comment is so apropos. And I think that's one of the benefits of your conference, is to validate what we've already experienced. So when people come, they're going to hear real stories of people who have validated their own experience some way, somehow. And in the process, it's going to validate yours. So come play with us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and if you could, I know you've got like a really busy schedule. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? Because you're all over.
Thank you. My website is stgermainmysteryschool.com. And if you want to schedule something with me, you can either sign up for a session if you want an Akashic Records reading, or you can reach out to our operations manager, Kim, who runs the schedule. If you just need some kind of information, then you can reach out to Kat, who runs all the detail, and she's our office manager. So, or info, Kat runs the info box too. So you just want to remember info at Maureen St Germain Mystery School, or St Germain Mystery School. That'll do it.
So I keep hearing like you were an unusual kid. What kind of a kid were you? I keep hearing, ask her about when she was like 9 or 11 or something like that. So what kind of a kid were you at 9 and 11? Maureen?
I was very fortunate. I grew up in a farm family where we worked and had good self-esteem. So I never understood how kids wouldn't have good self-esteem, because it wasn't in my wheelhouse. But my mother was very psychic, and my father was also very gifted. So we were very plugged in with each other, and I knew stuff. I knew when a delivery guy came to the door that it was a big Christmas present, and I whispered in my mother's ear, and she got up right away and took care of it. Another time, when I was a teenager, as a farm girl, we didn't have things like cheerleading or ice skating and those kinds of special fun activities. And I always wanted to be a majorette, twirl that baton.
Okay.
And I had asked when I was in grade school, when most kids start taking those kind of lessons, and my mother poo-pooed it. And one day I came home with a big black eye because I had someone else's baton that they had brought to school, and I threw it up and I watched it come down right in my eye. It was, one of those ones that was broken all the way through the rubber.
Oh God.
So when I was a freshman, they announced in the PA system, we're going to do auditions in May, and it was January. So I came home, and all day I thought, I'm going to tell my mom I'm going to do this, and I'll use my own money so she can't tell me I can't. And I walked in the door, and she said, I've been thinking all day, if you still want to try out for majorette, it's okay with me. Or if you still want to, she didn't say try out. She said, if you still want to take lessons. And I did. And I made the squad and blew everyone out of the water.
Wow. Very nice. So you had a nice supportive, that's unusual, because a lot of super psychic people, the commonality is there wasn't support growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like it's almost a requirement, to be misunderstood. You did not have that.
No, I was very much supportive. Yeah. Yeah. My mom was very, very cool.
Okay. For some reason, I have a tickle in my throat.
So let me
have
just
to edit.
Yeah, you can
Go
do
ahead.
that. So I was pretty unusual, that I was pretty determined as a child. And I think that was a challenge for my parents, because I was pretty clear about what was important to me. Another example is when I was in grade school, one of the books on the shelf was The Lives of the Saints. It was a big, thick book with gold leaf and gold lettering. And I was always pulling it out and reading about it, because I was very interested in this. And one day the book wasn't where it was supposed to be. And I remember looking for it, thinking, I wonder where that book is. And as soon as I posed that thought in my mind, I saw where it was, in a closet in the living room on a high shelf. So I went.
At your house?
At our house. And so I went, got a chair, climbed up and pulled it down and did what I wanted to do, reading it. And then I put it back on the bookshelf where it belonged. And why was it on the high shelf? Because it was gold leaf and I was a little kid.
Oh, and so your parents must have put it up out of reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm sure my mom figured that I was going to,
Be
soil it or, do something. I wasn't exactly the most grounded child, so, I did stupid things like spill things on myself, and more than I think the average kid. I'm not sure, but I still have that issue today. Anyway, what I want to say about all that is the book was always where it was supposed to be. I am sure my mother, when she saw that it was on the bookshelf where it was supposed to be, thought to herself, well, if she can figure out where it is, I better leave it here.
That's right. Exactly. I'll tell this story. When I was in 9th grade, I saw this book in the library called the Bhagavad Gita. And I thought it was the most beautiful book I'd ever seen. And it also had the gold pages and all that big. And I took it home and I read it every day. And
Devoured it.
I became obsessed with it. And the school kept saying, we know you have the book, bring it back. I said, I don't have the book. I stole the book. Me. I never did anything like that. I never stole anything. But I stole that book. And the same day, I stole the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. These are old mystical texts that even at 14, I knew I had to have them in my life. They said, we will not graduate you. That was like years later, right? We won't graduate you unless we get those books back. I'm like, I'm good with that. Like, don't graduate me. I would rather forfeit my graduation than to be without the Bhagavad Gita. And that's how you were with the saints. So is there one saint in particular when you were young that you resonated with or that you liked? I've always liked saints myself.
Saint Therese,
Yeah.
Mary, Saint Joseph the Worker. A really big connection to Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene too, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I always liked Padre Pio.
Oh
And
yeah, me too. Me
you know,
too.
he's a tough guy. And then one day, this was a few years back in Rockport, Mass, I'm doing a reading for a woman and she says, I have something for you. I want to give you this. She goes, I've had it in my person, you know, on me for 35 years. And it was a little piece in laminate of Padre Pio's part of his cloak, his garment, like a tiny little thing.
A
I said,
holy
you've got to
relic.
be kidding me. I had it on my reading table for years. I always had that with me.
Nice.
You know, Padre Pio was the type you'd go to get, not a reading, but to do, you know, confession or whatever. And he'd say, oh, this is all good and well, but what about X, Y, and Z? You're forgetting to also confess, you know, these other things. He was hyper psychic. You know, these things are.
He also was bilocating, wasn't he?
Exactly. He was a bilocator.
And I was fascinated with that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Exactly. So not all the saints are bilocators, but he was one of them. And Paramahansa Yogananda talks about bilocation as well. But he talks about it from the perspective that he's kind of surprised by it, you know, like it wasn't like just an everyday thing. So
I think we're going to be able to do that in this lifetime.
Oh, you think so?
Absolutely. And there's even studies now where they're proving that consciousness can be registered. So scientists are testing, you know, when you do like remote viewing or you project your consciousness somewhere. And there's a recent article I read where they actually could prove, they showed anomalies of electricity. They showed interaction with the energy fields and
the magnetic.
Something was going on. Yeah. Very cool. Huh?
The neuroscientist, who I hope he's going to also be presenting there, who works out of here sometimes, extraordinary man, Marcelo Geffen. He did a brain testing, brain, what's the word I want to?
Scan?
Basically a brain scan, but there's another name for it. Of me, he goes, well, you know what? I should scan you since I'm, you know, scanning everybody else. I'm like, okay. So he puts this headband on. It looks like nothing. It weighs almost nothing. And there's lights that move around. And how he does the scan is he asks for over the course of 10 minutes, obvious yes questions, no questions, and just some conversational things. So while he's talking to me, he's, you know, just making everyday conversation. And he starts to tell this story about when he was a little boy and he was 4 years old. He sat at the piano and he could play perfectly. He doesn't want anyone to know this, now announcing it to everybody. And his mother was horrified. As he's telling me this, I just automatically, I can see the whole scene playing out. And I'm thinking he was the cutest little boy, you know, and I could see all this. I'm not saying anything. I'm just, you know, listening to him. And after he's done with the scan, he said, well, Susan, I don't know. I've never seen this. According to and he's been doing it like close to 20 years. According to the brain scan, your brain went dead twice, like nothing.
Flatline.
I flatlined. I said, oh, I know exactly when it flatlined. I said, that's when I was in that dimension and that time.
Oh, that's
over in Argentina more than here. And I just naturally went over there. I saw the whole scene and like a movie scene. And then I came back. He said, that's exactly right. And he goes, he was talking to me, he was looking, he goes, you know, there was still lights in my eyes. Everything was registering. But on the brain scan, no, my brain was
No
not.
activity. I
good.
love it. Your
So
activity
there we
went
have,
elsewhere.
right. So now we have the science that validates this. We really do move all over. And that wasn't even a deep, deep state of psychic ability either, you know? So when we go into deep meditative states, really, I need him to scan me more like deep meditative states.
Very cool.
Yeah, it really is. You know, I say the more we learn, the more we realize we're fascinating, magnificent beings, all of us.
Mhm.
And there's just no way we're alone. So
Mhm.
that's also
So
part of it.
we get to learn more about all that at this conference in May.
Yeah,
The
I'm really
date
excited.
is not in
May
front of me.
19th through the 22nd, but the 19th is a Thursday and that's late in the day. We're just going to do some meditation type practices and get people a little more opened up, so to speak. But then Saturday and Sunday are the big days that we'll be having everyone
Very
talking.
cool. And you've got some great speakers coming, including
Oh,
my
yes,
friend
great
Tom
speakers.
Dongo.
And are you going to bring some books with you?
Oh, yes, I'll have
Okay,
books
yep.
for
So
sale.
you'll be there. People can buy books from you, sign, and have you sign them. So, well, I'll let you go and thank you so much. You're just lovely. And I look forward to seeing you in about a month.
And I look forward to it as well. Thank you for including me.
Okay, yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.